Hey there, Eurus here, and welcome to Community Life. Here we talk with the amazing humans from the community world about their life journeys and learn from each other. Today we have a conversation with Tamanna Bavishi, a great community builder, a mother of two, who's entered a community world by accident and stayed by heart, and even recently started her podcast and community for working mothers in India, the Desi Mom Hustle, and a very open, kind, supportive, and just amazing person to talk to. So, hello, Tamanna.
Hey, happy to be here and thank you for the wonderful introduction.
Super happy to talk to you. And that's exactly what I feel. After our first conversation, I was like, I want to learn more. I must learn more about Tamanna. So here we are. And at that conversation, you told me that in India, we never eat alone. And it immediately reminded me of Kate Ferrazzi's book, Never Eat Alone. And I guess it doesn't sell very well in India. So I'm curious, how did you feel the first time you made coconut laddoos?
Oh my God. It's interesting. I grew up in Assam in India, where there are a lot of coconut trees and it's very easily available. And my mom was a big believer that coconuts are good for brain development, for your growth of your height, to become taller. And we have this ritual in like my family where every full moon a coconut is offered to the god.
Hmm.
And that coconut has to be eaten within the family. And as kids, I remember I used to hate it. And I was like, no, I don't want to eat coconut anymore. Like, I'm done. Every 15 days, I cannot be eating a coconut. So I remember she came up with this idea that I want to make coconut laddus out of it. Like, that is, at least, then you will still eat it because I love sweets. I just cannot resist eating anything that is sweet. So that is how my love-hate relationship with coconut and coconut laddus started. And I think the first time I ever made it was after I lost my mom. And I was like, okay, now I have coconuts. What do I do? And I mean, it was the same thing, like I wanted my kids to eat who didn't want to eat, just like I didn't want to eat it so many years back. And that is how I came up with that. And it was very easy. And I realized, why have I never done this earlier? It's super easy.
Why you never had the courage to make them before?
So I think I realized this very recently that all of us, I'm not sure if this is the same in other cultures, but especially in India, we hold our mothers in very high regards. We almost, hold them up to a pedestal and say, a
Hmm.
mom is everything. And probably what she can do is something I can never do. And so I've never tried, doing things that she was good at. Like, if she was good at certain things, I'm like, I can't do it. And it has been the same. I remember telling her the first time I ever made parathas, which is like an Indian flatbread. And I was like, oh, they were nice. It like I made them because I made them, they were nice. It was my first attempt, but they were not like yours. And I
Hmm.
think it continued for a very long time. I still haven't attempted that everything that she made. And I don't think I can. But then I'm pretty sure most of the Indians will relate to this. They can never cook like their moms.
And do you have in your culture like passing a knowledge to others? I mean, like your mom teaching you to cook something and like, oh, you're doing amazing stuff, etc.
Yes, yes, we do. My mom had a cookbook that, she used to write down recipes in, which I have inherited from her. And I've stolen my mother-in-law's cookbook as well, because naturally my sister-in-law was not interested. So I was like, okay, I am taking this. Though I'm not a very big fan of cooking, I do love cooking from time to time. I love cooking for my kids. So it is there, like the moms teaching the kids how to cook. My son, who's 8 years old, knows how to cook certain dishes. He can make his own breakfast. So he's there. So it is in the culture to pass down, certain recipes from the mother to the child or the parent to the child. Yes, it is there.
By the way, how do you cook them? How do you cook coconut laddoos?
They're not to be cooked. It's actually a raw recipe. So you just grate the coconut, and because coconut has it secretes oil, right? When you grate them, it secretes oil. So that, and you add sugar to it, and some people add milk to it, some people add some butter to it, and then they just roll it. That's it.
Hmm.
It's
So
it's
it's
it's not to be cooked.
it's super simple, super fast, and I guess super tasty. Do you add sugar in those that you are making?
Yes.
Okay, got it. So yeah, that's exactly what you've told me, that you like sweet stuff. So, what is the favorite dish in your family?
My favorite dish? No, my family's favorite dish. Oh, so that is a dish called chole and puri. So
Do you
chole
cook
is
it?
chickpeas. I do.
Yeah, I mean, do you cook it randomly in general, or do you have a special occasion for it?
No, my son wants it every weekend and on his birthday and every holiday.
Got it. Got it. That's how it works. When I was growing up, there was a saying in my culture: when you eat, you're deaf and dumb. And I always told my parents that when I eat, I talk and listen. So, how does the meal process look in your family?
Oh, that is how it is. Like I'm pretty sure I've never seen anybody talk. I mean, they're there. We all sit together. We eat together. At least the weekend meals, all three meals are together. On weekdays, my kids and I have three meals together. The breakfast and sometime in the day and then the dinner. And we talk, but then I'm pretty sure nobody's listening to what anybody's talking about. They're just busy in eating their food.
How does it work when everyone is talking, nobody's listening?
They just talk. I think it's just ingrained that you talk because in India, because we eat so many meals together.
Mhm.
uh I mean, it's changing now, but then there's still this ritual where people eat at least one meal together with the family, whether it's the breakfast or the dinner or lunch, depending on how the family setup looks like. It's this place where people come and discuss their issues, their problems, their day-to-day, the scenario, how your day was, whether it was good, whether it was bad. And I think that is what I have recreated for my kids. So even if my husband is not at home, he's working or he's just traveling back from work, even if it's just the three of us, me and both my kids, we talk about what happened during the day. Did you have a good time? Did you have a bad time? What triggered you? What is there something that you want to do differently the next day? So everybody's talking. It's not because nobody is listening per se. It's more like, okay, I want to tell the other person what how my day looked like.
Got it. Got it. And let's start from the beginning. So, tell me about your parents. Who are they?
So my father has his own business. He grew up in a small town, and then he moved a lot of towns to kind of settle down in Assam, which is the tea plantation area of India. And yeah, I think that's him. My mother, who I lost just recently, 3 years back, she again grew up in a small town, and then she married my father, thinking it's just the next town, immediately the neighboring town, and then she moved probably thousands of kilometers away. And as far as I remember, even when we were growing up, both of them were always present for us. I mean, I haven't seen that kind of a setup like even now in Mumbai where I am, where both the parents are present. They are so involved with their kids. They are so uh, open with their kids. Maybe that is a part of how I parent, because I've seen my parents do that. So like telling them about everything that's happening in my life. I mean, it was to an extent that my parents knew who I had a crush on, who I was dating, who I was going out with. So like that is like the kind of parents they were. My mom was always a stay at home person, but then she enjoyed doing that. She loved cooking. She loved doing things for the family. She loved keeping the maintaining the house and probably watching some series, reading some books, doing some artwork, which is not me. I'm none of these except reading books.
How did they know everything about you? Did you tell them or did they ask you?
No, I told them
That's how it
over
works.
over, over the meals.
Ah, okay, okay. There is the secret. I got it. I got it. Okay, so tell me, how did you feel when you've lost your mom?
It was very hard to process. I mean, in fact, I feel I'm still processing it. Uh, and maybe it was difficult for me. Like, I mean, obviously losing a parent is hard, but then it was harder for me because I was just a new mom myself. My younger one, my daughter, was just 4 months old when I lost my mom. So it that kind of made it harder. And I also think deep down I knew that she is not going to make it. She was hospitalized because of post-COVID complications.
Mm.
And I still remember, and I'm pretty sure anybody who went to the hospital during that time never made it back because, even the hospitals didn't know how to deal with, those complications. So once she was hospitalized, deep down, I knew she's not going to make it, but then I didn't want to accept it that, oh, this is going to happen. And I think it took me, I mean, now I can talk about it without breaking down. I mean, that acceptance has come in that, yes, she is not there. And just to add to this, I also like, because I was not able to cope up with this in the beginning, I also knew people, who underwent similar situation where they lost one or both parents during the COVID times, and they had no support. I still have a community on WhatsApp for grieving kids, people who've lost
Mm.
one of their parents or both of their parents. And it's just, it's more like, you come and talk. Like today I'm feeling lost because I'm missing my parent, whoever I've lost. So you just come, you talk about whatever's happening, and then there are people who will listen to you and who will not judge you that, after 5 years, why are you still thinking about the parent that you've lost?
What is one thing you miss the most about your mom?
I miss talking to her because I mean although I still believe I was always closer to my dad. I still am, but it was her. Like she was my best friend who I could, I mean, I would call her up and say, hey, look, this this child, like whoever between the two was, they've pooped today. Like they've pooped so many times. Oh, they've eaten well today. So I think I that is like maybe oversharing everything is what I miss. And I feel sad that she was not able to see the milestones of her grandkids.
Mm. How does it work in that way? Is it you were closer to dad, but still telling everything to your mom? Like,
I don't know. I don't know how that works. And it's a realization that happened after we lost her, that because I had to rebuild my relationship with my dad,
mm,
which was not difficult, but then I just realized that, maybe at some point you grow closer to one parent. And it's not like you lose touch with the other parent, but then you're just comfortable sharing things with one parent while at the same time not you're not distant from the other.
what do
Maybe
you mean
kids
by
also have a favorite parent.
what do you mean by saying rebuilding relationships with your father?
So I would share everything with my mom, like I just said.
Hmm.
And she would pass on the information to my dad saying, oh, this is what she said. This is what happened. We would talk every day, like my dad and I would also talk every day. But then I knew he was already given the information by my mom. So I would not repeat that. So I would just tell him other things, which maybe I didn't tell my mom, not because I didn't want to share, but because the call got disconnected or we just stopped the conversation, or tell him things that he would be interested in. I mean, I'm pretty sure he was not interested in knowing how many times my child pooped in the day. So we had to rebuild that because now we didn't have mom in between to pass on my things, And I would call him like once in a day, once in 2 days, once in 3 days. We would just send WhatsApp messages and we were done.
Hmm.
But now, then we were at a position where we both lost somebody we were very close to, and we had to kind of rely on each other and talk to each other. And my like my dad and I are like on the opposite side. Like I am an extrovert who can talk to anybody, and my dad is an introvert. So to make him open up to me and say, okay, you need to talk about something, I'm there. So that took a while, like, that rebuilding the relationship. It took some time, but then we're there.
What is the first memory of your childhood that comes to your mind right now?
Oh, like because we're talking about my dad, the only time I remember when he hit me, and we still fight over this, he's only hit me once because when he was teaching me how to write, my mom was in the hospital giving birth to my sister, and he had to take over my homework and whatever the education part. And I was mirror writing P to 9. And that was the
Hmm.
only time he's ever hit me in his life. And I mean, it's been so many years. I still can't stop teasing him about it. And I'm like, see, you hit me. He's like, I hit you once. Like once. How many times are you going to, make me, like realize that I hit you?
It's something that happens just once, can be the most remembering thing about for the whole life. And do you
I
ever do you ever hit your children?
no.
Why? Why? Are you a saint parent? I'm kidding.
No, I remember I would yell at my parents yell at my kids out of frustration that, maybe I was sleep deprived, or I couldn't do what I wanted to do, my daily goals. And I'm talking about the time when I was not working. I took a 2-year long maternal break. And I saw my son shivering, when I would start the volume of my voice started increasing and it became shrill, and he would like start shivering, and he would not say anything, but I saw that. So next time if I would like raise my voice even a bit, he would start getting paranoid. He would start, I could see those signs, and I was like, no, I'm not doing this. So I
Uh,
have to tell them, I'm feeling very angry, I'm feeling very frustrated, please go away, just leave me alone for some time, I'll come back in 10-15 minutes. It's hard, it's very hard.
yeah, yeah. And what those 10-15 minutes changes for you usually?
I calm down. I usually listen to music, or I just close my eyes and lie down. Maybe count backwards from 100 to 1, or just think of something nice. And I remember how much I love my kids, and I'm like, I'm done. I don't want to shout on them.
Got it. Tell me about your mandala creations. What does it mean for you?
I'm not doing them anymore, but then it started off as a form of meditation. Uh, I wanted to distract myself with something where I needed to concentrate a lot, and I had to get my mind off things. So it started from there, and I actually did a course in mandala because I was like, okay, I want to do learn how to do it. I don't have an artistic bone in my body, not a single one. But then I would just see copy designs, and yeah, I mean I did that, but it was fun while it lasted, and I want to go back to it maybe sooner than later.
How did you feel when you've done that?
Oh, it was very relaxing because it needed a lot of concentration. Those, making those lines and similar length, having same patterns, doing them over and over again. And that reminds me, I have been doing mandala on my tab and not pen and paper. So I should get back to pen and paper now.
And why did you stop doing it?
I did not actually stop doing it. I got busy with a lot of stuff where it took a back seat, and I didn't want to half-ass it. And I was like, no, I'll get back to it when I'm there. I'm like invested in it.
How frequently you and your husband are able to go on a dinner date without kids?
Oh, we did one last month after 8 years because we are always surrounded by kids. We and like my both my kids sleep early. They are off to bed by 7:30 India time because they also wake up early and they are both very physically active. So we've I'm you need to I mean you've asked the wrong question. You should have asked me, how long has it been since you've done dinner as a family? We've not done that also. I mean, I'm talking about going out for dinners because the kids are asleep.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we've not really had that kind of time where, or that kind of support where we can leave the kids with someone, both of them, and then go out for a dinner date or a lunch date. But that happened recently when my father and my brother took over. Like they said they'll look after both the kids, and my husband and I went out for dinner.
What do you like the most about it?
We didn't talk about the kids. So no
That's how
talking
it
about
works.
yeah. So no talking about who's doing what kind of studies. What are their friends like, or I mean nothing. We didn't speak about the kids at all.
What were you talking about?
Investments.
Okay, that's okay. Got it. What what is the difference between having a dinner date like now, recently, and 8 years ago?
Oh, so I like when you said this, the first thought in my mind was when it was just both of us. I was not even pregnant. I would actually, book places and call up my husband and say, meet me at this place. And then we would, go to the next place because I wouldn't tell him where we are going. So it was impromptu dates where we would go out, just talk about things or go out for drives. Now it needs a lot of planning.
Who initiates this thing? Who is a planner?
Right now it's my husband.
Okay. And back then you were the main.
It was me. Yes.
If you argue with your husband, who usually takes the first step to calm things down?
Me. That's me.
Why?
Definitely me.
Why?
Because I like to see both the sides of the things, and I'm like, hey, listen, you were wrong. I think it also comes with being married for so long. We've been married for 12 years now. So we don't argue a lot nowadays as we used to argue, when we were just newly married or we just had our first kid, or even when we had the second kid. We've probably matured in the relationship where we see what the other person wants to say. But yeah, if it's an argument, he does what I do with the kids. He just walks away. He's like, let me think. Don't come to me when I'm angry. And I don't want to say things that I don't mean. So, just walk away. We'll meet back in like 30 minutes. And I'm like, okay, let me do the thinking. Let me, think why I argued and why, I didn't want to listen to what you were saying.
Is it very important for you personally to find who's right and who's wrong?
No. It's the outcome, I think, which is more important. If I mean, most of the times I am right. I know because it's not because this thing that, oh, women are right or the wives are right. No, nothing to do
Yeah.
with that. I tend to see things more objectively. And usually my sixth sense or my instincts are also right. So I tend to listen to them, and I follow what my instincts tell me. So I do believe I'm right. But then I give a fair chance to my husband to put across his case and say, okay. And if it's not something important, I'm like, okay, we'll do it your way. That's fine.
Yeah, I feel like it's a little bit of wisdom, up there. And I have pretty much the same situation with my wife because when we are arguing about something, she definitely has a sixth sense or something like that. And she always knows me like two steps forward, etc. And I'm like, how do you do this? So yeah, I totally understand what you're talking about. And what does it mean for you to evolve into a better person?
I think knowing ourself better, being self-aware, is is what I would consider as evolving into a better person. Uh, Knowing your strengths and weakness, knowing which wars you should pick up, which battles you should pick up on, and which you should let go, and being self-aware.
How do you really do this?
I go back and reflect on what I've done. I I write a lot. Like I do daily journaling. I write, what could have gone wrong, what I could have done differently, what could have gone right. And I'm also a believer in whatever happens for the best. So if something doesn't work out, and I mean now I've accepted it, but then when I was just starting out with this, that whatever happens, there is a bigger thing that is coming to you, or the universe doesn't want you to do this, so it didn't work out for you. So I used to go back and read what I had written, uh, and say, oh, this is why it didn't work out. So now I'm there. I know, if something's not work out, I probably don't give it much of a thought.
What are your relationships with the universe?
Oh, I am a receiver. I receive messages from the universe.
How does it work? Tell me more about it.
So usually, when certain things are going to happen, like I said, I have a very strong sixth sense. I usually know what's going to happen. I It's there, I have this voice in the back of my head which is very loud. That I have a very loud voice in the back of my head which tells me this is going to happen. So I have learned it the hard way, never to ignore that voice.
You've told that you learned it the hard way. So, which means that most likely you've not always listened to your voice. So, tell me more about it.
I'll give you an example from my professional journey. So when I was working with Cora, uh, the layoffs happened in September. I knew in January that the layoff is going to happen. Don't ask me why. I don't know. I have no justification for how I knew. We were in the middle of some sort of a training where all the entire team of community builders were being trained, all 24 languages. And there was something in the presentation where the I think the revenue head was giving the presentation and discussing how the next year looks like. And something told me, it's not going to last very long. They're going to dismantle
Mm,
the team. I knew this in January. I didn't act on it. I didn't try to find a job. I didn't because I was so comfortable in that job. I enjoyed working with Cora. I enjoyed building my community. So I ignored that voice. And it kept coming up again and again. Like every time a new opportunity would come up, I had this voice in my head telling me apply for it. And I was like, no, you don't need to apply. You're very happy here. Why do you want to, make a move? And finally, when the layoff happened, and even that is a very funny story. When the news was being, broken that this is what is going to happen. So it was during a meeting. We used to have this weekly meeting with the entire team, and I was not attending the meeting that
mm.
day. I was so we have this festival called Navratri. I love dancing, so I was there, and I was like, it's okay, I can miss one meeting. I attend all the meetings anyways. And then my Slack was buzzing, and I knew something's up. And one of my very close friends, who was also my colleague at Cora, she calls me and asks me, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "I'm okay. I was dancing. What happened?" And then another of my colleague called saying, "Oh, this has happened. The layoffs are happening, and not everybody is being laid off immediately, but then most of us will be laid off with immediate effect, which is the next day." And when this happens, he was very upset because this was not something that we had planned for. So I very calmly come up to my house, and my husband was sitting and watching TV, and I tell him, I'm going to be laid off. And he was like, "Who told you?" I'm like, "This is an instinct." And he was laughing at me. He was like, "From where does this instinct come?" I said, "See, there are so many people calling me and asking me if I'm okay. There are people, waiting to know what's my status. But then my Slack was active. That means I was not laid off in all probability. Or maybe they were waiting to talk to me in the alphabetical order, and my name was probably towards the end. And I also told him, if this happens, if the layoff happens, I'm going to take a break for a few months, work on my on myself, work on giving more time to the kids, and then I'll find a job when I'm ready for it. And he was in a state of shock after after this conversation closed. I had the meeting where I was told I was laid off, and I was like, "See, I told you." And he was like, "How are you so happy?" So, maybe because I knew it, I ignored the voice, but I was prepared for it. I knew this is going to happen. So I think that is what, when I say I've learned it the hard way, it has also helped me in accepting that, oh, this is going to happen. You knew about it. Why are you sad now?
Yeah, it's also interesting that even though, as you said, you didn't act, you still was prepared, and I feel like it's not that hard way, I guess. Yeah, I'm kidding. It's always not very interesting, knowing about this news, and especially when you're doing something that you're enjoying very much, and then like, oh,
Exactly.
got it, got it. So once you shared that you made your son's birthday special by not accepting gifts from his friends. So I'm curious, why did you decide to have this birthday without gifts?
That was last year in 2023. Uh, so we never celebrated my son's birthday with his group of friends till he was 6. So when he turned 6, that was his first birthday party, because till he was 5 or 5.5. Uh, I mean, that was my belief that we just celebrate birthdays for the family, for the parents, but then the child doesn't really know what's happening. All the child wants is to just play around, to cut his cake, eat his cake, and get his gifts. So we didn't do it. And also because, it was the COVID time, and, nobody was really, visiting each other's houses. So it never happened. So the first party we had was when he was 6. And as usual, he has a lot of friends. He's like me. He has a lot of friends. He makes friends very easily. Like if he's walking, somewhere and he sees somebody just sitting alone, he'll be like, Do you want to be friends? I mean, he's like that. So he called over a lot of kids for his birthday, and they gave him a lot of gifts, half of which he already had, and the other half he did not like, because for whatever reasons, like he didn't like those gifts because they were not age appropriate, or he felt he was too grown up to use those gifts. So the next parties that he went to, he started giving off those gifts to other people. So when we were celebrating his seventh birthday, he was like, Mama, I got all gifts which I gave away to other people. Do you think I could do a birthday where I don't accept gifts? I was like, amazing, let's do this. So it was, we spoke about this for 1 month before we planned his birthday. And it also, I was also happy doing this because it kind of, sealed my belief that a child is supposed to enjoy his birthday because he wants to celebrate with his friends and family and cut the cake and enjoy the whatever, the entire party. But then let's not make it, materialistic by associating birthdays with gifts. So that is what happened last year, and we're doing the same this year as well. We're not accepting gifts, and it was easier for us than to convey this to the guests, because they were like, "How do I send somebody to your party without a gift?" I'm like, "You can send flowers, you can send birthday cards, you can send one chocolate, or not a big box of chocolate, like one small bar of chocolate." And I was very happy that maybe except three or four set of parents, they actually complied to my request by not sending gifts.
That was my next question. Like, how did you communicate it to others not to bring gifts? Because it's like everyone like, oh yeah, I'm going to birthday. I need to prepare some gifts. And sometimes, if it's not your close, sometimes even if it's close friends or relatives, sometimes it's hard to find a gift. And I feel like people are pretty much like, oh my god, I'm going to the birthday. What should I do? And I feel like it's also saving them, a little bit of nerves. So
It is. It
it's like
is.
win-win situation. Oh.
Absolutely.
I wonder, do you still bring gifts to other birthdays? I mean, your
I
son when
have
you
to.
go. Yeah, you have to. Okay. What
But
do you
then
love?
it has, I'll just add this thing. It has also given me this advantage because I was not accepting gifts. And, in return, those, people, the same kids, when they had their birthday parties, and we had, a situation where my son couldn't attend the birthday party, they didn't feel as bad because, they didn't give us gifts. They didn't receive the gifts in return, which is so materialistic, but it is what it is.
What do you love the most about your children?
Both of them are very kind and they love each other.
And how different are they?
From each other, very different. Maybe it's the age, but then they are very different. Like my son is this very kind soul. If you do something nice for him, he will want to do it back for you. Like currently, he's making a necklace for me. He's collected beads, he's collected some threads, because his logic was, you do so much for me, and I don't do anything for you.
Hmm.
So he's collected everything to make for me, not for any occasion, just because he wants to do it. My daughter, on the other hand, is very naughty. If somebody does something nice for her, she'll be like, okay, you did it because you wanted to, not because I wanted you to.
And what happens next?
Oh, they both fight a lot. Uh, because my daughter she looks up to her brother. Like he is everything for her. I like her
Hmm.
first word. In Hindi we call elder brother bhaiya, and because she was too young to say bhaiya, she called him just the last word, which is ya. So ya. And she still calls him Yaya, though she knows how to say Bhaiya. And that was her first word. So she can't live without him. She can't live with him. She doesn't know how to deal with the situation. She wants to do everything that he does. So she goes to a school where he goes because nothing else was acceptable. How can I go to a school where he's not there? I mean, if he's going to a school, it must be fun. So
What is the
if
one?
he's
Yeah, please go
yes.
on.
No, it's just like, whatever he wants to do, she wants to do the same thing. And that is what leads to their fights as well.
What is the one thing they enjoy doing together?
They love making Lego figurines together. Though, I mean, they fight over it, but then that is something they enjoy doing together. They love going out together to play with other friends, but then they're together. Uh, they love coloring together, where he's writing and she's coloring, and he draws the shapes for her and he colors as she colors. So a lot of things.
Some time ago, you shared that your daughter learned to say nah for things she doesn't want. So I'm curious, how do you feel about saying nah for things you don't want?
Oh, that is something that I had to learn to say no, that no, I don't want to do this. No, I cannot do this. But I have learned that, it is, and I think I probably learned this from the kids, that, they say no so easily because they don't think about what others would think. That, oh, I don't want to do it. I want to protect my boundaries, which is so nice. And we adults think so much before saying no to somebody else. We think about how bad they would feel, would they be offended? Would they be angry? Would I lose out on an opportunity? So and this is probably why when you reached out to me, I said, no, this time I'm not available. And I mean, I didn't feel bad about it because I know, that there are times when I'm not available. And this is something that I honestly learned from my kids, how to say no.
And I feel like it's super cool, because um, when you are doing something like you say yes, let's do it, and then oh, it's not comfortable for me. Oh, I will have this tension. It feels, another person can feel it. So sometimes I feel like it's so much better to say no, and
Absolutely.
like then yeah. So I totally get it. And once you share that out of 2,927 pictures on your phone, there was not a single one in which you didn't have at least one of your kids with you. And
It's still
it
the same.
made you think about what happened to self-love in Tamanna. So tell me more about that, Tamanna.
So it's a story that I mean I can probably tell now because I also want to talk about this soon on social media. Uh, I think once my daughter turned one, maybe one and a half, she became very clingy. So I was spending a lot of time with her, and then the layoff happened, which although I accept it, but then uh, the layoffs were happening everywhere. So I didn't know what to do. Although in my mind, I knew my destiny was there. Like it was written. I knew what's going to happen. I'll come back to that later, like how that happened. So it kind of made me, come to a place where I was doing emotional eating when there was nobody at home. I have probably never done emotional eating when there's somebody at home who's watching me, doing what I'm doing. So I was doing that. I stopped going out for exercises or walks or any sort of physical activity. I was awake in the night. I was eating not good food because you don't eat apples and fruits in the middle of the night. You only eat junk at night. So that led to massive weight gain. And that is when I realized I don't like looking at myself. I don't like the way I look. So I think that also kind of triggered that, emotion that I don't want to be in the pictures alone. I would rather have one or both kids with me where, they can partially hide how I look. And, I don't have to show my entire face because I was scared of judgments because it's very easy, for people to pass judgments on social media and say, hey, you've put on weight. Is and nobody bothers to ask, is everything okay? Because you've put on massively. So I was scared of that judgment, and that is probably the reason, there was always somebody in the picture with me. Till, I realized no, I need to, get better at this and have pictures where it's nobody, it's just me. So I made those small changes. I started writing. So this was my daily goal. Like, and I think a lot of moms that I speak to every week would agree with me that once a child comes into the picture, the priority shifts from the mother herself to the child. So I would do, or rather, I would not do a lot of things that I enjoyed doing, and that made me a very unhappy person, and as a result, a frustrated parent. And when I realized this is happening, I was like, no, I need to get better at this. I need to, I'm not passing those negative vibes to my kids and them getting frustrated for no fault of theirs because their mom is yelling at them for no fault of theirs. they've done nothing. So I started writing these goals where, it's funny, but I would actually write a goal saying, I need to brush my hair today. Because it was so easy to just, pick up a hair tie and just, tie your hair into a hair bun without brushing them because you don't have time. So, I started doing these things, to kind of rekindle that self love. I started doing like reading books every day because I know I miss doing that. So that, sort of kind of helped me bring that self love back, that, oh, I need to do this for myself. I used to love dancing. I miss doing that with both the kids when they were born, rather. So I started. So now every day we have the music blasting from the speaker, and all of us dance, and we all get turns to choose the music that we want to play. So when it's them, it's either some cartoon music playing or some, I don't know, some Coco Melon rhyme playing, but it's okay. We all dance. So it took me a while to come out of that phase where I didn't want to look at myself to the phase where I am actually taking pictures. I need to get better at that. Thank you for the reminder. I need to do that.
So it sounds like you are also not just doing some things you love, but you're also including kids in those
It's
activities. So
easier.
you're doing this, self-loving things together.
It's easier to do it when I involve them rather than pushing them away because then they are curious about why is she pushing me away? What is it that she wants to do where I'm not being involved?
And do you still have some me time?
I do.
What do
I
you
do. I
enjoy
think
doing the most on your own?
I am reading books. I am probably sleeping away when I have that me time. I have also, I used to do this earlier when I was not married, probably, where I would go watch movies alone. So I've started doing that when both the kids are in the school. I go and watch movies in the movie theater, not at home. I go out for walks. I've started doing that. I am restarting going to the gym next week. I've already taken a membership, so I'm going starting that next week. And I also talk to my friends when like something that I can't do when both my kids are around because they're always listening to me.
Got it. What did you like the most about the Sita, Warrior of Mithila book by Amish Tripathi?
Oh, so I am a big fan of mythological books. Uh, and to be honest, I did not like Ramayan, of which Sita is a part. I am a bigger fan of Mahabharat, which is the other mythological story of India. And to some extent, I am very attracted to these female characters, both in Ramayana and Mahabharata, which is Sita and Draupadi, because in the ancient times, even if we consider them to be real and the historical culture, they were so strong, at a time when women, especially in India, did not have that strong standing in the culture and the society. So they did what they had to do. They, in fact, both of them manipulated, the men around to get their work done. So that is something that I absolutely loved reading in both the books. In fact, Mahabharata is something that intrigued me so much. I have actually read 8 versions of it just so I can, make connections and say, oh, this is what happened. This is not the absolute truth. You need to see the other side of it and say, oh, this could have also happened. Again, it was just based on my love for Draupadi, who was the central female character. There was only one central female character.
Are you always trying to find the truth?
Yes, yes. I am a big believer in finding and telling the truth because this is something that my mom taught me. You say the truth only once, even if it hurts the other person, and you say the same. If you say the same thing, not which is untruth or which is the lie, you say it 1,000 times and you say it differently each time because you don't remember what story you said,
Yeah. Yeah, that's how it works. That's how, or you have to have a good memory. So,
which is not possible.
I have this question from the previous guest. What is your least favorite house chore to do?
Okay, I mean, I would ignore it till I can, but Because both my kids are foodies, I end up making food for them, but it's not something that I enjoy.
Okay, got it. I feel like it's also, very good to teach them on how to cook, and then they'll have their time. They'll be exhausted after that. They'll go to sleep earlier, etc. And you will enjoy the nice food. So
I
it's
know.
it's a really good thing, to pass to your kids.
Absolutely. But in India, we also get a lot of helps. So I actually have, not right now, but I have a cook who comes in and helps me with the cooking stuff. But then there are certain things that I still need to cook because my husband and my kids love it cooked in a certain manner, which I cannot teach, the other lady to cook.
Yeah, yeah. Ah, some lovings for food is it's the worst. I always tell to my wife that what have you done with all those cakes you've made? Now I can't go to a restaurant or a cafe and eat
I
cakes because
know.
they're nothing in comparison with yours. So yeah, I totally understand your husband. Tamanna, I really wish to have the sky as a limit to our conversation, but time is the limit. So let's jump to the rapid fire questions.
Awesome.
A solo trip with kids or a dinner date without kids?
Solo trip with kids.
The greenery or urban jungle?
Greenery.
What are your favorite color and song?
Color, blue and white. And song, I think I listen to the singer called Mohammad Rafi, his songs a lot, like on repeat.
If you were a superhero, what superpower would you have?
To read minds.
Who do you learn from? Name just one person.
Who do I learn from? Oh, so then it would be leglumency, because then I would, be a Harry Potter character.
Okay. And name two people whom I should definitely reach out to and have this conversation with.
You should reach out to. I know you've done Ilker. You should actually reach out to Todd in case you've not reached out to Todd. He is amazing. Like, and Katie
Got
Bapu.
it. Got it. Ask it forward. It's like pay it forward, but with questions. So ask a question a future guest will have to answer.
If they had to be stranded on an island, what is the one thing that they would take with them? Just one thing.
Is there one question that I definitely should have asked you, but didn't?
Yes, something about Harry Potter, maybe.
Exactly. So, first of all, where is your love to Harry Potter from?
From the first time I watched, I did not read the book before I watched the movie. So I watched the first movie first, and then I read the books, and then I watched the movies, and then I read the books, and now I'm reading fan fictions as well.
So you started with the movies. Yeah, that's how it always works. It's so much more like, oh yeah, it's a movie, and then you want to know all the details, and you jump into the book. So, do you have a favorite part of Harry Potter?
I do. So because Harry Potter lost his parents when he was just 1 year old, I love the part where he is reunited with his godfather,
Hmm.
Sirius Black, and who offers to take him in if he's absolved of his crime, which he never committed, but then he was in the prison. He was in Azkaban for 13 years. He did the waiting. So if for 12 years. So if he said, if one day if he gets free, he would love to take Harry Potter. And that was my favorite part. I loved Sirius Black for doing that.
Who's your favorite character?
Oh, there are lots. I love Hermione the best.
Why?
She reads books, she's smart, she's intelligent, and she's a female character.
Got it. Got it. I feel like have we should have a really totally different conversation about Harry Potter and I know a few more people who are also excited about this. So I feel like it
You,
should be like
a
totally
round table.
separate conversation. Yeah, a round table about Harry Potter and stuff. So yes, Tamanna, the first moment I talked to you, I was like, oh my God, how is it even possible that we known each other for such a long time in the community world, didn't talk at all? Like it was our first call, and then now you are sharing so much more details about yourself, about your family. Thank you so much for being so open. I'm super happy that we've had this, and thank you very much for giving me just a small chance to get to know you better as a human. It's super,
Thank
for
you
me it
so
means a lot.
much.
Thank you very much for that.
I would love to, do this the other way around, where I am asking you questions and you are answering them, because you always, when, like, I have watched you talk to so many people, and it's always you asking questions. So somebody should do this back to you, so the community world and the world in general gets to know you better.
I always feel sometimes that it's a little bit of unfair. So anytime you'd have time, you'd like to prepare questions and do this, just tell me. We'll do it right away. I would
I'm
love
going to do
to.
that. You
So
you can expect an invite soon. Not in the month of July, but August for sure. I am doing this because whenever I see your episodes, and I'm like, I want to ask you this, you should be answering this as well.
we'll do it. Thank you very much, Tamanna. And super enjoy this conversation. And yeah, we're in the community world. So see you in the community world.